Yo, welcome, Craig. Um, to the Onion Cast podcast. Uh, I'm your host, Eli Sterling, and these are my good old pals. You want to introduce yourselves? It is, yeah, and that's that's the cast of our podcast. If you catch my drift. No, oh, that's Let's get into some content. Yeah, yeah. So today we're going to be discussing some rather disturbing news. Um, in a bit. Oh God, that's rather disturbing. You want to send that link and let's do some deep diving today. So Jimmy Carter. Let's see. This is a CNN, so it's the fake news, but it's okay. Um, so Jimmy Carter, we don't like him very much. So he's getting hospice care at his home in Georgia. Um, this is by the Carter Center. So I don't know why they give a like who's Jimmy Carter, you know? Um, so he's gone to the hospital a couple times, you know. He's not in the greatest shape. So he's gonna get hospice care. But 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 that's medical support and that's bad because he's Jimmy Carter. He turned 98. Whoa. Um, he is pretty old. Um, I know, right? Nation's 39th president. Um, so pretty much, here's the situation. Here's the sitch. He's kept a low profile recently due to the coronavirus pandemic, but has continued to speak out about risks of democracy around the world. A longtime cause of his. And then the sentence ends. What? Okay, anyways, he beat brain cancer in 2015. Poggers. Wait, um, he taught Sunday school. Dude, he was a peanut farmer. He was pushing all the pea, including peanuts. Okay, that's enough of that. So, peanuts. I've wanted to review peanuts for a long time. As a fan of peanuts, and and I think Jimmy Carter is a great segue into that because Jimmy Carter's nuts are moi. Just the best peanuts you can get. Here I have wait, Jimmy Carter's nuts. Shit. They okay, they're empty. Here. More like he emptied them into me. Um, you can hear that. Those those are Jimmy Carter's nuts. And today we're gonna be reviewing some. Just as soon as we get into a game. Brendan Kane. So they say Jimmy Carter has a farm in Georgia where he plants peanuts, as we all know. But I think the real question we have to be asking ourselves is how does he grow such good nuts? And for that, we're gonna have to really look into the staples of the peanut industry. Um, the peanut industry was built not in the way that it used to be, because in the old days, you bought some peanuts, you put them in the ground, they grew into peanut trees. I think. I mean, I know. So, but it doesn't work like that anymore. Because once once Big Nut entered that picture, um, it all fell apart. Because Big Peanut didn't like how simple it was to start your own peanut tree. So they genetically modified the peanuts. This is scientifically proven. Um, and they genetically modified the peanuts so only they could create new peanut trees. Um, which is obviously bad. Jimmy Carter, who is rich, um, you know, he was a contributor in this, which is a travesty. But it did happen, and we just kind of have to admit that. But getting past um his controversy in that, we can realize that he did indeed actually create some good nuts, and kids around the world, honestly, have enjoyed his nuts. And and um, they're salty, they're tasty. I admit that myself. That's why you sometimes have to forgive like controversial and sometimes harmful actions if they reap a good reward, like good nuts. Um, so Jimmy, I mean, we can also look deeper into this. It wasn't just Jimmy Carter who started this trend towards Big Nut. Uh, it was a variety of peanut farmers that that basically put a monopoly on peanut farming. Um, and so we can't just blame Jimmy Carter. So though he's getting hospice care at 98, I think we can accept that and move on because he does have Big Nut. He owns Big Nut. He is Big Nut because he owns the industry. So when he dies, because he's 98, I don't know if I don't know what we're gonna do. There's gonna be a nut shortage, and and I don't know if we're prepared as a nation to take up that responsibility. And it's really sad because I like my nuts, and I don't want them to go away. Like I don't know what I'll do. What about you, Brendan? What will you do without nuts? Me too. I I don't think it's hard to comprehend the amount of suffering without peanut. Because if you really think about it, like deeply and like intimately, um, peanuts are big. Like it's a big industry, and a lot of people base their lives around peanuts. And like peanut farmers everywhere, it's gonna be big because you may not think, hey, I like peanuts, but I mean, you might think that, but you might not think, whoa, dude, I like peanuts, you know? So, so I don't think people get really how deep this goes, how how big the crack in the cookie, which will make it crumble, crumbles, and and we're just not ready as a society, as a culture, to take that up. Anyways, Jimmy Carter, right? He's on hospice, which is which is a good thing, you could say. Some might argue, even though he is a despicable individual um, for his actions, but he's also necessary for the peanut industry. Uh, so Jimmy Carter. and that's enough about Jimmy Carter. Um, let's get into um the actual physical impacts that his death will cause to the peanut industry, and therefore the possible societal collapse. You know, because it's bad. It's bad. Um, alternatives to peanuts, do they exist? Cashews, not very good. Walnuts, who the fuck knows what those are? Um, almonds, um, they're not that great in my opinion. Some people enjoy them. I don't. I do, but I don't. You know how that like it's there's peanuts and then there's almonds. They're not very good. So what are we gonna do? Just stop eating nuts? Like it's a good source of protein. Um, and peanuts, in my opinion, and as for numerous studies, um, are a key source to life. You know, so when we stop eating peanuts, we're gonna die. Like we will start dying, and and we don't quite know how fast that'll happen, but as the peanut effect wears off, um, and people stop annihilating peanuts, then we are going to start dying at a faster rate. Which is a scary thought, but we have to face it. Um, this effect has been um known in the scientific community as peanut paralysis. Um, because when you stop eating peanuts, um, that the proteins in the peanuts are actually a very specific and really special protein that has some very interesting effects on both lifespan, health, and and the ability to not be paralyzed. So as peanuts start disappearing, we will have more and more cases of paralysis. Um, and I really see a dystopia here because the rich will still have access to peanuts because they will, as we discussed earlier, the privatization of the peanut industry will only allow the rich who already have stock in the peanut industry, what's not the property of Jimmy Carter, because that's just going away. Like we don't know exactly what the Jimmy Carter family will do with it, but we can't expect them to be generous and give us back the peanut industry. Um, so the rich will live, and everyone else will die because of this shortage. And I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do. What do you think, Brendan Kane or Parker Doty? What are we gonna do? Hello? Come on. What are we gonna do about the peanut shortage? Should we eat the rich? Come on. Co-host Parker Doty. What do you think? I know. I think Eli, me, can solve this though. Like I have an idea. What we have to do is when the rich, because they have the peanuts and they're eating the peanuts, they have the peanut juice in their system, you know? So they won't enter paralysis. What we have to do is we have to harness the rich and extract the peanut juices from them through digestion, and we have to eat them. It's a little, some might find it disturbing, but it really is an important piece to the puzzle, you know? Because without the peanut juices, she'll die. Um, so final thoughts on the issue. Um, really, it's a sad situation that we'll have to eventually face. She's not dead yet. Jimmy Carter's not dead, but his health is failing. He's visited the doctor um multiple times recently, and now he's at home. He's getting home care. We aren't we don't know the details, but we can assume it's not going very well for him. So it's kind of a grim future. But if we prepare ourselves, and get our little gnashers, little teeths gnashing, um, we can do it, and we can eat them and steal their peanuts. Um, yeah, I've been Eli, and I'm still Eli, but in the podcast, I I've been your host, Eli. um, and this has been the Onion Cast. Um, signing out. We're done. Yeah. Was it good?